Okay, so mount's one of the most dominant positions we can achieve in MMA. The reason is because we're on top, and also we can do a lot of damage with strikes. Okay, so it's a position we're going to look towards, but sometimes it can be difficult to actually strike effectively, even though it is such a dominant position. So let's look at some kind of fundamentals of striking from here to help us out with that. Okay, so generally, if I'm controlling the mount, I tend to prefer a lower mount like this, okay? The reason for this is I have a lot more connection to my partner. I can spread my arms out wide for base, so if they're trying to off balance me by bumping and bridging one side or the other, it's a lot harder for them to do. But the problem with this situation is I can do some work with strikes, but because there's so little distance between us, they're not really going to be kind of knockout punches, okay? So this is a low mount. If I want to do a lot of damage with strikes, I'm generally going to work towards a mid mount, okay? So a mid mount will just mean that I sit up and here. Now, posturally, there's a few things I'm doing in this position to make sure I can maintain balance. I don't really want to be putting my hands on the mat, because this is going to make it a little bit easy for people to start trapping my arms and then getting me into sort of trap and roll bridge escape situations, okay? So knees are pinching, feet are tucking in. Ideally, I'm going to touch my big toes together. It might depend kind of how big your feet are or how flexible you are, if you can do that or not, but I should be squeezing in this position like this. Importantly, I don't want to sit on top of my partner's hips, okay? If I sit on his hips like they're a chair here and he does a bridge, you'll get quite a big reaction from that. So from this position, I'm just going to slightly lift my hips, just ever so little, just so I'm not quite connected to him. Now, as he bridges, it won't have that same effect, right? So if I sit down and he bridges, all my weight's down, look how I go with him. If I sit up slightly, just because we've not got that connection, there's that little space, as he does his bridge, a lot of the time I can ride that out a little bit better, okay? Now, the next thing is my posture of my upper body. I want to lean slightly forward, maybe like 5 degrees or something like this. I don't need to be really far forward, but I just don't want to be leant back like this. What this means is if my shoulders go behind my hips, sometimes they can use stiff arms to off balance me in this direction. If I lean forward slightly and he tries to stiff arm me from here, it's a no-go, and we can start hitting, okay, in this position. So that's basic posture, knees tucked, feet together, hips slightly lifted, body slightly forward, okay? Now from this position, we can strike effectively. The thing we're probably gonna run up against is people covering, okay? So they're gonna put hands up on their head, which is gonna make it difficult for me to strike through. And the bad news is sometimes if I'm really not concentrating where I'm hitting here and I start punching elbows, I can damage my own hands, okay? So we get in this situation. So this is still a good spot. We can still look for holes through the guard and we go here. But what I really want to be able to do is start stripping these defenses away. So if hands have come up, I can start cross gripping one and pulling across like this. And then I'm going to pinch it in on this position. Now as I go to strike, I have this, like maybe there's a situation where the hand doesn't get there quick enough and I can throw the strike, but normally the second hand's going to come across, okay? So I can now start cross gripping this one as well, and arms get trapped on top of arms, which means there's going to be, again, this won't last forever. People are going to be really struggling from here. Obviously this is a dangerous position, but I will get some work away here like so, either with punches or as he goes to cover again and I start cross gripping, I can land elbows as well, okay? The other thing that this cross grip situation is going to lead me to is being able to reach behind the head and secure our gift wraps, okay? So now I can take the wrist and I can start pulling this back across, okay? If I'm dealing with someone extremely strong and I feel like they're going to turn their elbow in from here, I can also reinforce by bringing this here. Generally, when I've secured a gift wrap as well, I'm going to alter my mount. So I'm going to switch to like more of a side mount, S mount, technical mount position, where I'm bringing this leg up, I'm going here, and now I'm in a really good position, okay? The only thing I have to think about from here is professional rules. I'm generally going to be throwing elbows, right? Top of the head can be quite hard. If I hit it with my fist, I can risk damaging my own hand. If I hit with the elbows, these are going to be a lot more effective. Okay, this other hand might come in, but again, it's fairly easy to start stripping these away and looking for a finish. A lot of the time from this position, your partner's just going to be trying to roll to the front, okay? It's probably not a good idea, but it's like the only sort of thing we can do to get out of this situation. As I'm striking from here, okay? So, if we go back again, this all starts from your position. You can't strike effectively unless you can maintain balance here, okay? If you're losing balance all the time, it's going to be very difficult, okay? So, knees pinched, toes together, hips slightly lifted. I start to strike, they start to cover, okay? I'm cross gripping close to the wrist, I'm pulling that away. I look to strike again. The second hand comes into cover, I'm bringing this across. If I can get these two on top, this is good. And anytime I feel like I can go down, I can reach behind the head, I can pull the arm tight, reinforcing here, and I can step up higher like so, okay? And then bang, we can start striking down from this position, really putting us into a position where we can finish. So just some basic concepts there to help with your ground and pound once you get to one of the most dominant positions in MMA, which is a full mount.